Hello friend, welcome back. In a previous video here I have created one of the common component as a went wrong, right? So went wrong, that will be loaded when our API is failure. So first of all I want to do, if you go to our database, into the database that is our contact information. Okay, so like there is a information, into this information table there is the about page, the term page, privacy page, and the refund page, right? So first of all I want to apply it, then I will check it with stop that my internet connection, then what exactly that will be a display. I show you. First of all there is about, so I want to go to our about page. That means here that is a about page. So when it will be done, that means if everything okay, it's successfully loaded our this page, right? That means all that our data is loaded. So if there have any issues, that means if this API is failing connection, then what exactly that will be display. So then that will be actually display our this component as went wrong. I show you, everything will be more clear. So right now we don't need this. I want to go to our about. Okay, better minimize it. I minimize all. So now that is our component as a about description. So now I simply open it. So into this about description here, first of all I want to take another property. Okay, I want to take another property and I just name this as a error. Okay, whatever name actually you choose. So now I make it as error, and for the first time that will be as a false. Okay, that means first time that will be as a false. So that means everything will be just like that same. If everything is getting this data, it will be get this data, which is totally fine. It will be loaded our loading fast, and when it will be get this data, then it will be loading as a false, right? I have already discussed about that things with you. So now here I make it first time that this error as a false. Okay, so now I want to put another condition in our this request, into the get request. There is a result. So here I want to add another condition. And to add another condition as a if condition into the if area, when it should be they get that is this result. With this result, it should actually get all that our about us information, right? So with this result, so I want to do if this result equal null. Okay, that means if there have no data, so then what exactly that will be do. So I want to do, and then I want to pass as a this, and I want to set it, and that means the set state. So with this set states I want to pass our this data. So that means our false data here I want to pass it in our this error state. So into this error, so that is actually error, right? So that is an error. That means that is our state. So into this error area I want to pass it. I make it as a true. Okay, so that will be then as a true. I hope friend you understand that point. What exactly I have done in here. First of all, our error will be false. That means it not should be display anything, right? But when this result will be equal null, that means when it shall be not get any result, then into the states with this set states method in our error area, I simply pass our that before that was as a false. Now I pass it as a true. Okay, so here I pass it as a true. And else, so I want to make it as else. Okay, else, and into this else area, so here that will be actually our, then it will be get this data. So I simply cut it, and then here I paste it. Okay, so then that will actually display this data, which is totally fine. And then that is our ended, and that is ended, and after that here I want to load our catch. So I have already discussed about that things with you. That is one of the Axios code as a dot catch method. Okay, dot catch. So with this dot catch area I want to pass that error. So error, so here simply pass it, so that will be as a error. So into this error area, then I want to make our this error will be as a true, right? So I want to just simply pass it. So if you want to pass it, so that is a this, and then set state. So with the set states I want to pass the same value. So I want to pass the same value in our this property area as a true. Okay, so here I hope everything is very clear. So when I shall run it, then everything will be more clear to you. So I simply pass it. So by default that will be as a false. When it will be as any error, then that will be actually in our this state. So with the set states method I pass as a true value in here. That means in our this states area. Okay, else that means if everything okay, it should be get this data. Okay, so it should be get this data, and also in our catch error area I set this error as a true in here. so which is totally fine. And now also we have to update our this condition. So before I pass it as a this states build, when it will be as a true, then it will be return our loading, right? So I want to use another else if. Okay, I want to use that else if, and else if the same condition here I want to just make it as a false. That means this states loading when it will be as a false. So I make it as a false. Okay, I make it as a false. So when it should be as a false, then that means then when it should be as equal false, that is our total return, and that is our and else. And after this, okay, after this I want to add another else if. So else and then if, else if. Okay, into the else if area I want to do, now I want to access our arrow. That means that this and then state. So that is the state, and in the state there is an error. So when this error will be equal true, okay, that right now I'm going to pass the true. So because of all from here actually I pass what? You can see when it should be get as a null, then I pass that error will be as a true, right? So when it should be as a true, that means error when it should be as a true, then I want to load our this went wrong component. So that is the simple things I want to add. So when our this states error will be updated, and when it should be as a true, okay, when it should be as a true, then I want to do and to return. Return. I want to return our this component as a went, right? So that is a went wrong. So now I simply loaded this went wrong in here. Okay, so now I simply loaded. So when you press it, automatically that will be loaded. You can see there's the input went wrong from our went wrong, and there is a went wrong. So here automatically it's inputted. That means imported our this component as a went wrong, right? So here I simply load it in particular that position, and that is our, better I put that note as a and if for error. Okay, so I simply load it. So friend, that is the same things now we have to apply for our rest of this component. I just click as a save all. So everything will be more clear, don't worry. Like here another one as a privacy description, I simply open it because that is actually all that comes from our particular this table as about the terms, the privacy and the refund. Right now I want to complete it. There is a privacy description that will be there just like that same here. Now I want to copy it. So first of all, that will be needed. I simply loaded, and then I take another property as a error. For the first time that will be as a false, and in our component did mount, into the component did mount area I want to put this if condition, right? So that is our if condition and the else condition. So I copy it, if else, and then here I paste it. Okay, I simply paste it, and then after that I want to finish it. That means I want to finish out this else. So I simply finish this else. Okay, so I simply finish it. And then there is will be our catch. So after that will be as a catch. I copy this catch, and then here I want to do after this. So there is all this, and then after this I want to do and to add that catch. Okay, so I simply add this catch, which is totally fine. And then we have to update our this else if condition. I copy it, and then in our privacy description, before that was else, I make it as else if, that is loading when it will be as a false. Then there is a and if. So after that there is another condition, I copy it. So now after that and else I simply paste it. Okay, so which is totally fine. And also I want to apply the same things for the refund description, the same concept. Okay, same concept we have to apply. Right now I copy it from here. So now I copy it, and then I want to apply it in particular that position. So that will be as it went wrong, and then our error for the first time error will be as a false. So I want to use it as a error false, and then that will be the same if condition and the else. I copy it, and then after that here I paste it. So now that should be also finished. So that is a else, into this else area here we have to finish it, right? So after that I finish it. So that is our else, but I want to put some the note as a and else. Okay, so that is a and else, and then there is a catch will be needed. So I make it as a catch, I copy it, and then into the refund area I simply paste it. So that is our catch error when it will be as a true. then this else will be updated. So this else here I want to make it as a else if condition. I copy it. So after that, that will be as a else if, and then the return. So return is ended, and after that that is our went wrong. So now I want to copy it, and then here after this I paste it. Okay, so and there is a else if, else when it will be as a true, then our this went wrong component will be loaded, and also I load this our went wrong. So here I also loaded our this went wrong, right, which is totally fine. And then another page, another as a refund, and the terms and description. I simply open it, and then the same condition. Now I want to copy it from our refund description. I copy it, and then that will be needed. I think, friend, it's very much clear to you what exactly I have done. So literally when I run it, everything will be more clear. First of all, I want to make it as a error will be as a false. Perfect. And then the same condition, if else, I copy it. So into this our request, when it should be result, when it should be as a null, then I want to make it as a, it should be display pass that as a true rather than it should be else. It should be get this data, right? So I simply AND it. That is our AND else, which is totally fine. And then we have to load that our catch. So into this catch area, then that will be our catch error. Then we pass the true, which is totally fine. Then we have to update our this else if. So that will be as a else if. I will copy it, and then that will be as a else if, right? And then here our else is ended in here. So after this, that will be as a else if. I copy it, and then after this I simply paste it. Perfect. So now let's check this out. If you click as a save all, okay, so if you now click as a save all, so now if you refresh it, perfect. So that means everything is great. That means it's now perfectly get this data in our about us page, in our refund policy page, the terms and condition page, and also in our privacy setting, right? It's perfect get this data. But right now, if you right now I want to close my internet connection. So there is internet connection is now connected. I make it as a disconnected. Okay, so now this API not should be get this data, right? Because this data actually comes from which place? This data comes from our this database. So here I have already closed my internet connection. You can see this connection is not available. So now let's check this out. Now if you click as a refresh, so now it's showing as an unhandled rejection for the cannot read property 0 as a null. For the footer, you can see also we have to update the same things in our footer. So better I want to do right now we don't need this. I close it. Okay, so also we have to update this footer because footer is also available in here. So now into the footer, so into the footer area I want to update the same things. Here I want to first of all copy it. I want to import this our went wrong, and here after this I want to take that another property as a error. So after this I take another property as a error, which is totally fine, and then here I want to put another condition. So our condition will be same as a if condition. I copy it, and here after this result I paste it. Okay, so that is our else will be ended. So after this that will be ended in here. So that is our totally this portion, but I want to make some of the note as a and else for error. Okay, so I make it as a and else for error, and then that is our catch. So I copy this catch. Okay, copy it, and in our footer, into the footer, and after this that will be our catch. Okay, and then our same conditions. So that is our render. There is a return fragment, right? Here. So in our footer here you can see there is a little bit different because of all in our footer I am actually loaded a specific one of the part, right? I loaded our you can see that I have loaded this our loading in here with a specific with this class. So that is our class. So right now here also we have to actually write down it. So concept will be same. Concept will be just like that same condition. Okay, so better I copy this if condition. I copy it. And there is a footer, there is a render. So into this render area, now I paste it. So now that should be not loading, that will be as an error. that will be as a error. That means if this states error equal for the first time, I make it as a false, right? When it will be as a false, so when it will be as a that means that is into the render area. When it will be as a false, okay, when it will be as a false, our this will be started from to this position, and then there is our total return, and return is ended. Return is ended in here, right? So return is ended. So after this, I close our if condition, but I put some the note as and if error condition. Okay, so that is actually our error condition. That means that is actually our error condition. So that is I have added that if condition. So that is our if condition. Okay, so if condition, if this states error when it will be equal false, that means if everything okay, then that should be display this part. That means this that will be display our this total part, that is our and if, and then I want to load the same else if. Okay, so with this else if, then it should be display our went wrong component. So after this, I simply load it. Okay, friend. So now that should be great. Now click as a save all, and now if you go, now click as a refresh. Yes, you can see now that is perfect. So now our internet connection is off. Okay, internet connection is off for the reasons you can see it's not get this data from our this database table. So there have some of the API failure, and for these reasons you can see it is actually visible. So that is the icon. Into this icon, that means here I loaded our this went wrong. So I hope now that should be very clear to you. So else if this states, that means when this error will be equal true, then that will be display our this went wrong, right? So that means this component will be displayed, and you can see our this component, this image is visible because of all into this went wrong area. I simply loaded one of the image, so that is our SVG image, and this image is now visible in here, right, friend? And else I have also added the another condition. So that is a else if, and that is our if condition, right? And if here I declare it when this error will be equal false. That means if there have no error, then our rest of all the data will be visible. It will be get this data from our database, and it will be loaded in here, right? So which is totally fine. But here one things, like you can see our this loading, that means this loading animation is also executed. So here also we have to prevent it. So that is in our privacy, into the privacy page. If you want to prevent it, I show you, that is our privacy descriptions, right? So here I want to do that means you can see here I actually set it as a error as a true, right? So here it will be as a true. So that means when it will be our error, when it will be as a true, then I want to this part, that means this loading, I want to make it as a false. Because of all, here I have already created another property as a loading. So this loading I want to make it as a false, then that will be not display. So here I want to make it as a loading, and this loading will be as a false, right? I hope, friend, it's very much clear to you what exactly the things I have done in here. Because of when it will be get this error, okay, when it will be get this error, I simply make our this loading, that means this loading I make it as a false. By default that is a true. So for the reasons you can see it's now loaded. So now they have some of the already on some of the error. So right, that means our error is the true. So when error will be as a true, then our this loading will be as a false. So simple work. Now click as a save all. So that is our privacy description. Now that should be not display. Now click as a refresh. Yes, you can see it's now perfect. So now it's totally gone, and that is our message is visible. Okay. So now we have to also apply the same things for rest of these pages. Better I copy it. So that is our privacy description, and that is our another one. Better one by one I want to update. That is our about description. Into the about description also here I want to update the same. And the set area, that is the error, when it will be as a true, I want to pass our loading will be as a false. Okay. And also I want to update that privacy description. I have already updated it in here. That is our refund description. So to the refund description area also I want to update, and that means when error will be as a true, our loading will be as a false. That is a terms and description. Into the terms and description page I also want to update the same. Okay, that means when it will be error will be a true, then loading will be as a false. Perfect. So friend, that's all. Now click as a save all, and now if you go and refresh it, perfect. So that is a privacy policy now is visible. If you go to our about, So the about, you can see that is our static data. For the reasons is perfectly get this data, right? But here you can see that data actually comes from our which place. This data comes from our database. So right now I don't have any internet connection. So for the reasons, you can see it's now showing our this error message. So now if you want to check it, like I want to connect it again, I want to connect that internet connection again. So now connect is now connected. Now if you click as a refresh, so now you can see our loading is loaded, and then our data is loaded, and our footer data is also loaded. Okay friends, so how can do that work? I hope it's very much clear to you. So now that's the same condition you have to apply for the rest of this component. Better I want to do, next video I will cover it for the portfolio. Okay, for the portfolio, if there have any error, then that should be display the same error message. And for the courses, I also want to apply it. Okay, so I can do that work in our next video. I will show you that things with a live example. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.